Brian. Now, let me tell the good folks here something. We thought we knew what we were going to talk about. Then CBA conversations happened. Then we got not one, well, I should say we got one official signing and then one pretty much official announcement, which means that most of today's episode is going to be me, Erica Lindsay Ayala, the host of Gotta Get Up, the founder of
Whoa,
Black Rosie Media, apologizing. Yes. I was wrong. Mea culpa. Let's talk about it. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans. Welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. All right, women's basketball fans, welcome to another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your host and founder of Black Rosie Media, alongside Brian Florentin. And listen, B-Dog, we weren't together in Indianapolis. You went the week before All-Star. I was just there. We also got to see the homie Misha, blowing it up, just crushing it with Rising Media Stars. Of course, good game with Sarah Spain. So it was good to catch up with Mish. But so much happened in such a short period of time. I hardly even know where to start. So we're obviously going to talk about the New York Liberty news. We're going to talk about skills. We're going to talk about 3-point. We're going to talk about CBA because I talked to Brianna Stewart, and of course she's an executive member on the executive committee, I should say, of the Players Association. We have to talk about Stephanie Talbot. We have to talk about Emma Meesseman. But before we do all of that, Brian, first of all, cut looking good, looking fresh. I see you out here. Love it. But what was your favorite part of watching the All-Star festivities?
I would say it doesn't so much count as All-Star festivities in the traditional sense, but I will say 72 hours of a camera, a microphone, and antics of all kinds might be it. I have to say, I never envisioned Miss Catherine Engelbert getting down to nothing.
It's not just getting down on stud buds, but to nuck if you buck is wild. It's wild.
I'm like, I never like. Where Kathy from? Like, I feel like I should look
up South Jersey, Philly, exactly. Like that's.
I feel like Kathy been holding out on us this whole time. I'm like, if you get down like that, I feel like everyone is down on her because of New York dress. But I'm like, Kathy be getting it. Like, yeah, give her a little bit of love sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, it's not how I get down, but you know what? She was committed. And I can respect that's what it is. Like, it's vibes. And she sees the moment. I feel like it was genuine. You see politicians. I don't know if y'all know, Anyway, you might see some politicians and they have one go-to and it's just hella corny. I feel like she went with it. And you know what? I'm here for it. I was here for that. I have to admit, I did not watch any of the 72-hour stream, only whatever y'all folks been clipping on the interwebs. But I believe that the CBS Sports HQ circuit stop was there because we did a Tarika was interviewing Courtney, and our thing was to do a start bench cut. And so Courtney Williams had to pick between Kayla McBride, T, as in Natisha Heidemann, who was standing right there with the camera, which was very awkward. But Tarika is messy. And then Nafisa Collier. And she was like, all right, get messy then. And then she was like, oh, this is easy. I got this. She said she was going to start T. She said she was going to bench McBride, and she cut Fee, and we were all like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, because she's straight. I gotta hold it down for my gay girlies. I was done. I was weak. And you know what? it was iconic. It was iconic, and it was probably one of my favorite moments. And when she said it, I was like, you know what? 100%. That's the right choice. That's the right choice. Feed took
Also,
exception, and then naturally she cut C Willie. So, it was a mess. For the Liberty, I asked start bench cut Leo, MJ, and Big Ellie. I said, because I didn't keep it to just players. I was like, we're gonna go for the whole organization. Or no, I didn't say Leo. Excuse me. I said Tosh, because I went with folks that are favorites, like in their own way. Like, people do not mess around when it comes to Big Ellie. Folks don't mess around when it comes to MJ. Folks don't mess around when it comes to Tosh. Each one of them has their own, path. And so I was very curious what they would say. What do you think they said, Brian? I don't know if you saw it yet, but
yeah, okay, let me see. Tosh. All right. So I'm gonna say for vibes purposes, we start Tosh because Tosh is always a good time. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
when Tosh pulls up, the energy is always there.
Mhm.
Ellie's coming off the bench because if the party's a little bit slow, you need the sixth woman to come in, shake
Mm.
some ass, get the party rocking. Ellie's
Mhm.
got you there. MJ, by wary of being the shyest of the bunch, might have to get cut. Like, we love MJ, but
Wow.
MJ's like too chill. And then if you need a turn up, you need like heavy. You need your heavy hitters to bring the turn
That's
up.
fair. That's fair. I mean, that's fair. That is not what Stewie and Sab said. They cut
Oh,
Big Ellie.
what?
Cut Big Ellie. And they were like, but you messed up because you gave me no both of them are like, you gave me no choice. Stewie played with it a little bit more, but Stewie was like, I mean, come on, those my teammates, like, we not cutting my teammates. She's like, Big Ellie, you got to step your game up. I was weak, but when I said we were gonna play start bench cut, I've talked about the look when Sab locks in. Sab, and I was the one interviewing her, so I'm sitting right next to her, and I was like, all right, Sab, we're gonna do something. It's gonna be about your teammates. And she locked in immediately. Like, I saw it. I was like, I almost feared for my life. Like, I knew she wasn't gonna harm me, but I wasn't sure that just being in proximity to her lock-in zone, that I wasn't also in danger. Like, when am I the enemy? I don't know. I didn't know. And I was like, we got to get through this real quick because I'm not trying to find out. Like, when sis locks in, it is so serious. And I've known that, because we talk about it on the podcast, but I've never been that close to it. Like, I felt darts coming towards my heart. It was wild. It was very wild. I actually haven't seen the video back because I would be shocked if you cannot see me also reacting to her intensity. And I'm a pretty intense person. So Sab, I'm telling you, that next level is real. But Sab locked in real quick. She was like, all right, let's go. And was just like staring me down. I was like, oh, damn, we got to do this. But she was like, yeah, you gave me no choice. You gave me no choice. I have to cut Big Ellie. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, I'm going to get so much shit for this. Oh my gosh. But it was fun. It was fun. Vibes were had. It was a good time. I believe everyone got to where they needed to be after All Star safely. So, good for everyone on that. But
Also, one other thing I want to add.
yeah.
I feel like I've mentioned occasionally on here that Indianapolis as a city, like, it has its things, of course, but like, it's a nice little get down. I'll be
It's a
telling
nice
people,
little get
man,
down.
maybe oh man, what they gonna do in Indiana? Steakhouse? Nah, man, like, you gotta know
No.
where to go. Like,
You gotta know where to go. See, we hung with Kareem for a little bit. Kareem Copeland over at the Washington Post. I guess he used to live in Indiana for a little bit or something like that. He said so. He knew some of the spots, and of course, we'll All Star. There was all kinds of parties and stuff. The iHeart Radio party was the party, at least for Friday. That was the spot. Last year it was Candace's party. In Chicago, it was the WNBPA, and I forget, maybe Together. I forget that party. That rooftop party was popping. I
rooftop
ain't go to a
is
lot of parties. Say again.
rooftop parties are always good. Like
Oh my
those,
gosh,
those are
Chicago summer rooftop party, like don't tempt me with a good time. And it's Chicago, so you know the music and the DJs know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
hey, no,
they're not just hitting you with, you know, the top of the charts and whatever. No. They was doing deep cuts, they was doing throwbacks and making it, you know, it was a vibe. That was a vibe for real. That was probably my favorite.
you drink a linen outfit,
I'm
some
telling
good
you.
house music, and then
Talking about whoa. Let me stop. It was a vibe. It was a time. Damien, listen, we've already been talking about you, Damien, in the Slack channel. Damien, we've already been talking about you in the Slack channel. Now we're gonna get to this news, but I'm just gonna tell you in case you didn't catch it at the top. Damien, how are you doing? How are you doing, fam? Because I was so hell-bent on this child ain't coming to the WNBA. And now we get reports she might be not only coming to the WNBA, Brian, Damien, but to the New York Liberty. Oh my gosh, the cheat code. I can't even. We're going to talk about it later. We're going to talk about it later on the show because I just can't even. I've been wanting Meesseman to come to New York since 2019. And I was like, yeah, Tosh, you could come too. So now it's potentially, allegedly, reportedly, not well, we already know we got Tosh, but Me's coming too. Stop. I don't even know exactly, Amir. It's elite. It was a great time. All right, All Star. So we knew Sabrina and Stewie were going to be there. Big Ellie indeed was in the house, along with other mascots. Apparently, what is the name of the Phoenix Mercury mascot? The Phoenix Mercury mascot was on one, from what I heard. I got a whole story from I got a whole. I don't know what that flip was. Scared Asia half to death.
Oh no.
That was wild. But let's talk about Friday night. New York Liberty sweep, baby. So we know Tosh stepped up in skills. We've talked about it before. Tosh Cloud she posted, she's advocating for herself. She wanted to go to All-Star. She's wanted to be a part of skills. She talked about being on the Phoenix Mercury team and hoping that she would get to the skills competition. Never came to fruition, but she comes to New York, gets to be a part of the skills competition, and goes up against, again, it was a Black Rosie Media podcast classic, undrafted Wheeler against underrated Tosh Cloud. She beat her time by 1.1 second, Brian. Wild.
Yeah. That was fun. Like I love when players have fun with the contest, but take it seriously at the same time. So you know that you're gonna get a good show. And beating Easy at the buzzer in her former city is like really cool. So I loved it. I love that everyone there had a good time with it. And for Tosh, it was really cool. Like Izzy and the whole gang were there, which is really solid. You really saw that team support and that personal support, which is really heartwarming. And for Tosh in particular, right before she left out of New York, when she was talking to us, she was mentioning just how excited she was to be there because this was like her first All-Star participation as a player. Like she's always there to support teammates, things like that. But it's different when you're in the crowd versus being actively on the court and really being a celebrated player who's taking part in the activities. So I love that for her. And
I loved it.
You could tell it really meant a lot to her. She had a great time with it. There was also one funny moment in the post game. They asked Tosh, hey, what you gonna do with that trophy? Oh, I'm have that in my bed tonight. And then you hear it in the back of the room, no, you won't.
No, you're not. No, yep. She was right there with us. She's like, no, absolutely not. Every second counts. Well played, Aloysius. Well played. I see what you did there. Dare I say, mwah, chef's kiss. Yeah, but it was beautiful. I mean, the joy, Wheeler coming over, then Sab making a beeline. So I was sitting over by where Tosh finished up. So I'm literally watching as Sabrina's just running over to embrace her. And I think that the New York Liberty have officially beat the allegations that they do not love each other. Thank you very much.
Boy.
But you know what? Truly, thank you, Kelsey Plum. Because if you are the reason that team got it together, I am not leaning into that. But if some people need that, if you are the reason that team got serious and got down to business in 24 and is looking to be just even more fine wine in 25, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. But that was a beautiful moment. Talking to Tosh after hearing her speak after, I asked her also about the other skills competition, or I guess we should say 3-point competition winner, one Sabrina Ionescu, and interviewed Stewie, and I asked her, Sab's playing in 3-point contest. This was before, of course, the skills and 3-point contest. What kind of advice are y'all giving her? What's the situation? And Stewie said something, and this is up on We Need to Talk Now YouTube channel. It's also in our Slack channel because I posted them. But she said something to the effect of, we're just going to be cheering for her, no advice. Like, we want her to do her thing. And then Stewie kind of was like, well, actually, I might have to like get under her skin and like get her a little agitated. And I thought that was hilarious. I was like, you might be right. So then I followed up and I asked Tosh about that. And she said something effectively to the point where, Stewie has known Sab longer, so that's just, she's able to do that and press those buttons, and it's a beautiful relationship that they have. She said, as far as for me, and I hadn't seen this until I saw the picture because of where I was sitting, but she said, when I saw her hit that corner, this is Tosh, me interpreting what Tosh said, paraphrasing what Tosh said, when she cut that corner, that last corner, so to speak, I wanted to make sure to give her energy and encouragement. And you see a photo of her just like clapping, and she's like right there by the rack, right behind the rack, just like giving her all this love and energy. And that's what Tosh said. She's like, so Stewie can do that, but the way that I wanted to be present and show up for her was to just make sure, and then Sab, after that money rack, which I think was her middle rack, right? She started, once she cut that corner, really getting into a good rhythm, into a good flow. So, I mean, it's just like the Liberty Biberty love. Yes, I love that they swept. Absolutely. Because I remember thinking, I was like, man, now that Tosh won, like, wouldn't it be something if the Liberty sweep? And, coming in, we talked about it. Sabrina hadn't been necessarily shooting her best in the, let's say, 10-game stretch coming into All-Star. I'd say the last, game and a half or so, she started getting her rhythm back. But, there was concern there. And, I mean, to hear Sabrina talk so much, Brian, about how the win was something. I mean, we saw her take the photo. She's back in New York with the trophy in Brooklyn with the New York City skyline. I think that Sabrina, yes, there is an intensity that I've already talked about, Brian, which I experienced firsthand and was terrifying. But there's also a passion and a love. And so the two of them are almost like this beautiful yin and yang. And I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. One of the things I always think about for a player who you compete against really intensely, when they're on your side, like that passion on your side is a lot of like care and support and affection. So when they're going up against you, like, oh my God, this person's back. Why don't they go away? But then when they're on your side, it's like, man, I'm really happy they're here, and I'm so thankful that they've made me a presence in their life, and it feels so valuable and meaningful. So I love their dynamic. I feel like we might get to it, and we might sort of like in a roundabout way get to it, but this is where being around someone like in a setting like an Unrivaled really sort of helps, because it's like you can see the person on a different side because you're working with them as compared to competing against them. So you get that change up, and you really sort of like it almost like thaws the other person out to a certain degree, and then it allows for more relaxation, more chill vibes, and it feels really good. And from the day Tosh came in, she's like, she really wanted to get to know the people she's working with, and that team building stuff is so meaningful. Like, it's one thing to just sort of show up to work and then roll the ball out, you make it work like that, but it's different when you're able to really sort of like be cool with someone. You sort of like know their vibe, hey, I gotta get him. I gotta get him in this spot. If they're not feeling it this way, if they're not feeling it on a particular day, I know to ease back, ease up the throttle. Those sort of like interpersonal dynamics mean so much in a team setting like this. And I think especially when you have a moment where there's so much pressure in a job like this, like in professional sports, having someone who is serious about the work, but also can have a good time with you at the same time, it takes so much anxiety and pressure off your shoulders and lets you be more at ease with the job to come.
Absolutely, 100%. So that was a fun time. I do want to spend a decent amount of time talking about the CBA, and I have a story up. I have a story up on CBS Sports. I've been really reporting on CBA stuff effectively since they opted out, collecting different little nuggets. And so All-Star was the right time to let some of those things fly. If you're in our Slack channel, you have probably seen me talk about some of this. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we have to get to what is the news of, it has to be, the news of the New York Liberty news cycle. And I didn't even realize it was Brother Man's birthday. You know who else's birthday? It's Tamika Catching's birthday today. Who else has a birthday? There's somebody else that I was like, yo, Catching's and this birthday. It's like today's, goated for sure. But the reports, I saw it first from Alexa Philippou, that Emma Meesseman signing to the New York Liberty. I just and I actually saw it, Brian, because you posted it in the Slack channel.
Do you want to put the reaction I had when I put it in there?
Yes, because it is the only reaction.
For those who aren't in the Slack, as soon as I saw Lex's post on social media, my only words in the chat were "oh shit." It's like, oh shit. Wow. All right. That was like my immediate reaction.
That's the appropriate reaction. And I then posted it too, because you posted it in the Gotta Get Up community chat. I put it in the larger chat being like, oh shit is an understatement. This is massive. And again, I have been telling y'all very strongly, because Emma told me very strongly, that this child ain't coming to the WNBA. And with everything that happened with the CBA, which again we'll get into, and Gabby Williams had some really great quotes, which again are in my article for CBS Sports. But it just didn't seem like this would be the year for Emma Meesseman to come. On the one hand, even at a prorated veteran salary, she probably, at least if the negotiations go the way that the players want, she probably could make more money just waiting one more year, right? That's number one. Number two, it sounded like a money thing to me. And so she can only tap out at what, 78, I think is the veteran. Yeah, the veteran max, because we talked about it when we talked about where DeWanna Bonner could land. Same thing with Steph Talbot. Now, Stephanie Talbot, we're going to get into as well, because sis making bank, but we can talk about that. But I just didn't see it in the cards based on what Meesseman was saying. And I kept seeing the reports. I was like, y'all, I don't see, like, the WNBA is at least as messy, if not more convolutedly messy, than when I spoke to her in Paris. But it would appear that I was wrong, because Alexa, I trust her reporting, and so she is saying that these are sources. So with sources, you never know, like, things can always go awry. But Alexa Philippou with ESPN now, of course, I remember when she was writing about UConn with Hartford Current, right? That's a pretty solid reporter who I think probably has solid sources, as Damien had said. Now Damien, I don't know how I see, like, we always got a beef here, but yes, does depend on her visa situation, which now see, listen, I'm gonna say this right now. If this presidential administration messes up Emma Meesseman, I'm out. I'm out of here. There ain't no way. I'm gonna be so mad. Like, this ain't the time. This ain't the time to play your little games.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, never have I ever been so worried about a visa situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't ruin this,
You
sir.
know, yeah, Erica. To that point, I remember. I think we might have talked about it after the draft when we were talking about questions. We might have asked Kathy if we got her at that presser. Like that part, I was thinking of. I'm like, a lot of
Mhm.
international talent. You guys
Yep.
are traveling
Yep.
cross cross across the continent next year.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of that. What
Yep.
and now, if this gets bungled by powers that are way beyond our control, it's a hey Kathy, what are you as a league going to do about this to help your players out?
Exactly.
Because
I
it
mean,
ain't,
I don't know. The WNBA has effectively impacted a Senate race, so I guess the White House is next. So, all right, I haven't seen this. I've read somewhere, I believe in the New York Post, that New York can give Emma around 118K. Another good reporting source, so that could be possible. Maybe I think with maybe the situation is with Steph and DB, since they were on contract elsewhere and waived. Maybe that is a different max veteran max than if Emma is coming in for. And that number, actually, now that I think about it, sounds relatively ish close to maybe what Williams got last season.
yeah.
Um Coming to Seattle. I have to look into it.
Yeah, I have to double check the New York's cap space at this point, but they did have a fair amount that was sitting unused.
Yes.
So theoretically, they could squeeze Meese into that last amount and sort of like have that cover everything, since this is going to be essentially the last moves that theoretically that they'll make
Yeah.
before the playoffs start. So that could be a possibility. We'll have to see, and then also, like we were saying, like when it officially hits the transactions page, that's when we'll know all the numbers for sure. So now it's like we're almost there, but that
I'll be
well,
like, Emma, you told me, you know what? And this could be it. This could be it, Amir. I will just say, and I have to find the audio. I know I have it archived, so I'll post it again. But I was like, I believe my question was something akin to, what would it take? Or is there a world in which we would see you back in the W? And she said, if you want to see me back, you know what to do. I'm just saying, even though she sounded like she really ain't want to come back, I think what my first comment slash question slash comment would be to her is, you told me to do, you told me I know what to do. And I'm just going to say, I did my part. I'm doing my part. Like, I did my part, Emma. So you're welcome. And thank you. So all y'all are welcome. Emma gave me marching orders, and I just shared the gospel. Okay. Between Satu, Emma, and Gabby at that Olympics, we were working overtime at Black Rosie Media to talk about prioritization. So there you go. It's no beef. It's no beef.
Erica,
Emma told me, you know what to do, and I was like, show you right. Shown up. You dig? Shown up. That's it.
Erica, I have one more thing for you too.
What's up?
This is another instance where our good pal the birthday boy, will have to retire the hybrid rebuild.
Oh yes.
Hybrid what? He is. We
It,
are.
I told him we need a new term. Yeah, hybrid rebuilds out the door. That's like a running joke that he and I have, which is hilarious. Um, so okay, let's talk about this, because Damien talking about Talbot, who also, so Talbot has officially been announced by the New York Liberty, well, at least on social media. Did we get an email?
Transactions page.
Oh, okay.
Nothing from PR yet.
That's what I thought. Okay. So see, and this is another thing, y'all. I say reported versus officially official. For me, officially official means the email is in the inbox. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but for the purposes of being accurate and clear, that's my standard for officially official. However, if we wanted to say it's like officially official-ish for Talbot, because I'm pretty sure the New York Liberty already posted it on social media.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I saw a graphic of her in a Liberty jersey. Yep, I see it right here. Yep,
Yeah, on
I
the
see,
page, right?
I see their I see the Photoshop with the Statue of Liberty always a hit, and then Steph with number 6. Okay, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can chat officially, and
Yes, we
there's
can chat officially with that with the caveat that we have not gotten the PR email.
yes.
As we're
So
talking, Brian, the other Brian, not that Brian, but the other Brian is probably going to email us.
I think that partially might be my fault because every time I see Brian Flannery, the Liberty PR man, whenever I leave, I tell Brian turn his phone off. He's like, I can't turn my phone off. I have work to do. I'm like, Brian, turn your phone off. Like, turn it off. Maybe he turned the phone off and didn't send the email
And
out.
didn't send the
So
email.
I will take the hit on behalf of
You got to
all of the
talk to
people
your
in the team.
you got to talk to your brethren, Brian with a Y. Like, come on, bro, get it together. What up? What up? What up? Thank you so much for joining. Listen, so Steph Talbot. So let's talk about first of all, Brian. And I did say this in Slack because sometimes I get my numbers a little jumbled. I'm not even lying. Like I always check my math, even on small things. But if I'm not mistaken, let's just talk about the Talbot signing that is at least social media official. It's not email official, but it's social media official. With that signing, if I did the math correctly, and I wrote it on a little piece on a handy dandy notebook, and now of course I don't have that in front of me. But if I did the math correctly, that brings the New York Liberty, including Jonquel Jones, excluding Q, that brings them to 12 players, Brian.
Mm-hmm. They are at capacity, it seems, and I wanted, like, before we came on, I did a little bit of digging, especially around the phrase end of season contract.
Yeah.
And I think of that because during last month when all the players went to Eurobasket, I had saw for the Valkyries, Aerial Powers had signed an end of season contract, but she was only there for that certain amount of time. So I think within that, I want to sort of like remind myself to be like, end of season doesn't mean that, okay, this is how the roster is going to look permanently, and especially if Meesseman's on the way, somebody's going to have to go to sort of like make the roster fit. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. So I want to like remind myself that end of season contract doesn't mean that you are sort of clear sailing from now till the playoffs starting September like 14th or whatever.
Yeah, that is interesting. And so just with Steph Talbot, the roster spots are full, which means, and so I was earlier talking about, I mean, they're either going to have to cut someone, or maybe we're going to get not so great news about Jonquel Jones. Yeah. Thankfully, that didn't happen. The latter part of that didn't happen. We got news that Jonquel Jones, well, I should say this, she's not on the injury report. And that tracks to what you had said on our last episode, that she was going to take some rest and should be good to go for All-Star. So officially, Jonquel Jones off the injury report, social media official, Steph Talbot coming to the New York Liberty. Now, I said this in the chat. Steph Talbot is not, to Damien's point earlier, but she is a kind of stretch wing, small forward, I suppose. Yep. Small forward, power forward kind of situation. So we're talking the 3-4. If you want to go small ball, maybe could give you some minutes at 5, but she's definitely someone that can stretch the floor, has a sweet shot. Obviously, she's an Aussie, so she knows Sandy Brondello and vice versa. I kind of said she's like a combo of Leo and Stewie with an Aussie twist.
Yeah, I love that comp, and I think especially for a team that loves to switch like New York does, having a wing who can sort of like play 3-4, can knock down some threes, can sort of give you that. I think it's super valuable, and I think when comparing it to, so Talbot's addition led to Q's subtraction, and I think for purposes of what the team wants to accomplish come playoff time, having a wing, another big wing that can get out there, give you some good minutes, sort of be someone that can get on the boards, can knock down some threes, can really sort of like open things up for you that way. is more valuable than a two guard that hasn't been able to sort of get through the rotation and is third in the depth chart behind Sab at the two, then MJ as the sixth woman off the bench. So that gives you more optionality. And I think for this Liberty team, that optionality matters a lot. We'll get to it more in the next section, but having a lineup, you can run so many combinations with this group, and all of them are going to hit. Like, theoretically, they can have an all WNBA player on the court at all times. Could be one, could be two, could be three, like possibly four with the next edition coming in. Like, there are so many fascinating dynamics and buttons that Sandy Brondello, Sonia Roman, Olaf Lang, Zach O'Brien can push as far as what they want to accomplish with the lineup. And especially if we're looking ahead and we're looking to the team that I think we have circled on the calendar, and I have July 30th circled on the calendar because that is going to be meeting number one. And number one in Target Center. You know, they've been waiting. They've been waiting to see New York. Fee been tearing through the league.
Oh my gosh.
She tore up one-on-one at Unrivaled. She tore up the All-Star game. She's been kicking butt all season long. She's gonna be ready.
All that.
Yeah, she's gonna be ready.
Yeah, that is a good observation, Brian, because I mean, I've been worried about Minnesota since last year. I
feel like early in the year you was like, "Hey, man, that Lynx team, boy, watch out for them Lynx. Watch out."
I try not to lean into my anxieties, so that's why I don't be talking about it. But Minnesota can cause us problems, and it's not because, Brian, I think they're leaps and bounds better than us. It is because those two teams are built very similarly. They have similar weapons, and it's just a matter of what portion of the roster is going to be able to outperform their comp. You know? And that is fascinating. I mean, we could potentially see now. Let me just put it this way.
I'll clear out. You got it. I'll clear out.
Let's imagine a world in which we get through the regular season, we get through the playoffs, and are at the finals, and these two teams are going head to head in what is now a 7-game series for a championship. Like the sports fan in me and the WNBA or women's basketball writer in me, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. The child's New York Liberty fan in me is gonna be like, I need that garbage can next, because I already told y'all my story. In 23, I don't know what I was like, y'all. I was like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm a yak, and I don't get stomach sick that unless, well, I was stomach sick for our 45-minute training camp contract. That was a whole crazy story. I got food poisoning right before my Liberty debut. I was too nervous, maybe. I don't know. I don't get stomach sick, but I was ill. I don't know. Y'all might need to check in on me. I'm gonna have an IV like Stud Buds or something. Heart palpitations, make sure the physician is on hand, because your girl might not be all right. In the best way. Like, I want it and I don't, but we have to have it. I don't know. It's going to be wild, but we are definitely jumping ahead. We don't know that that's going to happen. But Damien's talking about, no disrespect, but why sign Talbot, who's not a post player, even though she has talent? Now, this is what we talked about before, Damien. And Brian, you and I kind of took we weren't being disagreeable, but we were leaning into two truths, which is that at the time before All-Star, I was taking the approach of You need someone who can help with pace, help stretch defenses, and help knock down threes, with a little bit more efficiency, because it seemed like that potentially could be a weakness. The clip at which the New York Liberty are shooting threes is still pretty high, right?
Yeah,
For the league, for league wide.
I'd be like 30.
And yeah, and I'm an eye test gal. I'm an eye test girly. It hasn't looked as confident at times. It hasn't looked as consistent at times. So yeah, I was saying get us a shooter. But Brian, because you were not believing what Emma, you were a little more on the Meesseman train than I was. I've been very like, I ain't leaving this station. Y'all done told me the train's coming too many times, and cry wolf to somebody else. I wasn't leaving home without knowing it was real. You know what I'm saying? But you were a little bit more like, well, what if this happens? And you were talking about post. Neither one of us is wrong.
Yeah.
Before All-Star, not knowing potentially how long JJ could be out, knowing that part of the reason we haven't seen more Niara Sabali is because she's still not necessarily on level footing, which we knew was possible with Satu, or excuse me, with Niara, Satu's sister. But we knew that going in. So I don't think either one of these signings is bad, and you're not asking Talbot to play minutes that JJ and Niara are going to play. If anything, again, you get your Swiss Army knife in Stewie, to maybe Stewie is at the 5 for a little bit while Talbot is in, and then you rotate Niara in, and then she can go more to that 3-4, and then maybe you give Sab a rest, so then Stewie takes up the 1. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the fun part is that I think we were talking about it last week after the Atlanta game. Like, Stewie running the offense, really, like, you can really get away with that here because you can surround her with so much shooting and playmaking in the front court that you can really allow her to just sort of like initiate the offense. And I think the deeper we go, I think the New York is going to have to solve this problem. How can they sort of like subsist if they're in a situation where they're having 2 players that defenders are going to go under and Cloud and Stewie? Like, you're not worried about that now against some teams in the league, but when you're deep in the playoffs, that's when you're going to have to answer that. And I think the additions here help mitigate that, because you can theoretically have like 4 shooter lineups. Like, you have the league leading 3-point shooter in Kennedy Burke. She's strictly catch and shoot threes, but that's still meaningful, and she can drive. So you can't sort of like just like close harder to the 3-point line, because if she gets by you, that's a hard drive to the cup in 2 points.
Right, exactly.
So you can really experiment in so many different ways, and you can really go the longest lineup possible. You can have a Leo, you can have a Burke, you can have a Meese, you can have a JJ, and then Stewie just sort of like running around terrorizing opponents on the other side. Like, there are so many things to get together, and I will say that the tough part about an acquisition like this, especially coming into the second half of the season, and they're going to be on the road a lot in August, you're not going to have much time to iron out the details. Like, luckily, these are all vets and champions who know to get down and know how to sort of like operate and flow within the work environment. But I will say, if we're here, let's say 3 Mondays from now, and they've had like a choppy week, I want people to be like, okay, I don't want, not like a panic per se, but I want to sort of like grade a little bit on a curve. And that curve is going to be important, because whenever you're adding someone in, even though Misa is a multiplier and not someone that's like the center of the universe on offense, it still might be a little bit rocky to start. So I would say just give them maybe like a good couple weeks, let them sort of like iron out the details, let them sort of figure out what's what, because now you're going to have to reorient rotations. You're going to have to adjust to new roles, like things like that within the natural flow of the season, especially with the player as good as Meesseman. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but the potential, and if it all hits, through the roof.
Wild. I mean, just wild. And you make a good point. That is a potential downside or a challenge. I think you accelerate a little bit of that just because Sandy Brondello knows Stephanie Talbot very well. For those who are not familiar, Stephanie Talbot is Australian, has played with the national team, of which Sandy Brondello is the head coach. Now, again, we don't have the official word. It's not even social media official, at least as far as the New York Liberty accounts, that Meesseman is coming. Emma Meesseman. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I hope I don't sound ridiculous. It wouldn't be the first time on this podcast, but I hope I don't sound ridiculous, Brian. But the thought that came to my mind is Emma Meesseman was the prototype for what Jonquel Jones is now.
Mm-hmm. To see it.
And it's not like there's a massive age difference there, especially because Meesseman, being an international player, had a different pathway than players that you would see who are raised in the United States, go through the NCAA system.
Mm-hmm.
But Emma Meesseman put down in that 2019 finals
MVP against a player who balled out and played her heart out on that court. One Jonquel Jones.
That was a wild series. That was the first WNBA finals that I covered in person, because it was Connecticut, Washington, and I was still living in New York at the time, and was no longer working full-time at a nonprofit, so I could do what I wanted. In theory. But
I know that life real well.
yeah. Emma Meesseman is a phenomenal player. She is a tall, strong presence in the paint. She absorbs a lot of contact. You hear Asia complaining, you hear Nneka complaining, even Jonquel Jones to a degree and an extent. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I ain't never seen someone get battered and bruised as much as Emma Meesseman when Emma Meesseman's on the court. That's how bad she is. She getting it from everybody. And she don't complain so much, but you see it on her arms. She bruises easily, and them things just be like, she'd be looking like a leopard, all the spots. Emma Meesseman is beast mode. And if y'all watched the 2024 Olympics, then you saw it.
It's like, she was giving it to France in that semifinal game. I was in London at the time. I was like it's like the time difference is like close. I'm like looking at my phone like this, like trying to get enough surface on NBC to lock in. I'm like, oh my God, she's so good, man. And then
she's phenomenal.
Like in the bronze medal game that morning, Ezzy McBagor is having the game of her life for Australia, and she's barely able to keep up with Emma Meesseman on the other side. I'm like, oh, she's so good.
She's so good. And what we're basically saying, in case it's not clear, is that Emma Meesseman is an all-star on dang near any team that she's on. Mm-hmm. See, she came in as a sleeper because Elena Delle Donne was on that 19 team. And I'm telling you right now, EDD, she's a warrior too. I mean, you could talk to Tosh about it. We did after that game. Herniated disc, slip disc, whatever you want to say, had her literally had her back out of place and balling. And listen, it was a toss up, I think, for a lot of people, whether it was going to be EDD or Emma Meesseman for MVP. I know for me, at least, I took into consideration that semis as well. And Meesseman had to put down on Vegas Aces, right? That was that year.
Baby MVP Asia. A year before, she became first MVP. And also I love that series because when she was with us in the United States, Liz Cambage was talking mess about the Aces, saying they need to do push-ups. So after the Mystics won, you see Tosh Cloud in the locker room doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tash is a gem of a human. And we talked about her earlier. Yes, paparazzi. The signing of Emma Meesseman is true. It would affect the Liberty's salary cap. Now we've talked about it before, Brian, and I'm gonna actually defer to you for this because I'm going to go to our good friends at Her Hoop Stats and just double check this. But I believe a few weeks ago, we took a look at the salary cap because the hypothetical of Meesseman has been coming up for weeks. Y'all been driving me crazy for weeks. And allegedly, reportedly, I've been wrong for weeks. So here we go. But we've looked at it before, but I want to pull it up. So Brian, I'm going to have you talk about what this would look like, and this is the question actually that I'm going to use this question here to segue into the question I wanted to ask you. We know numbers wise, and I'm going to look salary cap wise, that this team is at max capacity with this Talbot signing. So Brian, I'm gonna let you take first swing while I go over to our friends at Her Hoop Stats. Who then gets the axe? Because unless, and I put this in another Slack channel, unless sister girl Kathy, getting down with the get down on stud buds, decided to change the CBA again without talking to the Players Association.
Yeah.
They don't have a roster spot, which means somebody got to get cut.
If they did change the CBA, it would be because our good pal Kathy Engelbert pulled the New York dress out of superhero lair, donned the suit, and saved the day.
And literally in my other chat for the 3-letter organization, someone put that dress in the chat. I was like, I can't stand y'all, and I can't stand y'all because I hate that, and it's really good. That was y'all did that. Y'all did
That's
that.
a tremendous chat. Whoever did that, tell them I give them a high five.
That's my editor. I'm gonna tell him you said so. But I mean, all right. So Brian, who gets the axe here?
Yeah, this is gonna be tough. So if Talbot stays and Meese comes in, that means someone's got to go. I think based off of playing time and just what may not be needed, considering that you have 3 great ball handlers and guards already, and Stewie's been playing the 1. I know it's a girl. I know you love her, but Jalen Sherrod, it might be messy, man. That's so beast of you. That's so baller. Oh my god. Now I'm thinking about that tweet that says, "Who's the messiest person you know? It's a man, ain't it?" There you go. Amir, I appreciate you.
Oh my god.
So I think as far as like roster, I think Jalen goes. I think because Tosh is gonna play heavy minutes. Sab can slot down to 1. If you want to go jumbo lineups, like 2 bigs, 2 wings, and Stewie. Go have fun. Like, so Brandon is your number 1. Yeah. Like, go and get him. Like, I think Jalen would be the person that would go. And it would be unfortunate because Jay, when she has played, like she's done well in her limited minutes. Like you saw the confidence Sandy had in her because she got those minutes that Q theoretically could have gotten. And you see it, and she gives you that energy. Tosh Cloud loves her. She's like, I'm always advocating for her to get more playing time. I'm always like working with her. So it would be a tough blow to lose a player like that. But if it came down to it, and then that's a player that has to go, I think Jalen would be it, because the other nominee could be Beck Gardner, but Beck as a defender really gives you a lot of good options, and having another guard that can go full court in the way that she does, like she's been good with her 3-point shooting this year. Like she's fully recovered from the Achilles tear. And having a vet with that corporate knowledge matters a lot, especially the deeper you go, because when you see an elite team in the semifinals or finals, it's no longer a matter of like scouting out their plays because everyone knows what each other's doing. So now it's just high level execution. Can you manage these minutes without buckling? Like Beck can do that. And I think having a vet like that is meaningful, even if she may get like 5 minutes at a time or whatever. So having that is going to matter a lot. So I think
I agree.
Yeah.
And I see this comment, I don't get the Talbot signing though. She's washed, worst player on the Valks. I can't really speak to Talbot and why things didn't work on the Valkyries. Actually, elsewhere have a story coming out about the Valkyries. So I'd need to go back, quite honestly, and look into that. I remember in some of the reporting that I did for another story, Natalie Nakase saying that, she's a little banged up at times and that she didn't want to push soreness. Now, in hindsight, in retrospect, what we know now is that the full story, for how long was that the story, whatever the case is, maybe it just wasn't a good fit. If she is banged up, Brian, this is where it's not the worst signing in the world. If you get a player that is a veteran that can give you more minutes, not the same minutes, but more minutes and more refined minutes than you're getting from Sherrod, right?
Yeah.
It's not a like for like, and you lose. Talbot does run the floor very well, I think, for her size. She's got nice long legs and definitely has a long stride, so gets to where she's got to go quickly without it looking dangerous, which I kind of like about her game. I got to see that at the Olympics. I think if you really watch her, like, she just, it's kind of like Stewie. Doesn't look like she's moving all that much, and then before you know it, she's under the basket.
Yeah.
So, and she can get where she's got to go in pace. She can push pace. So, and transition. I mean, y'all gotta ease up on this washed conversation, because Brian, Indiana Fever fans would have you believe that a certain Dewana Bonner, Mama Bonner, was washed. I done tried to tell y'all that ain't the case. So
Right.
I, again, can't speak to the full Talbot situation. And if there was anything that was just untoward or not a good fit in Golden State, I feel like some of that will be mitigated. Even if she isn't necessarily her most healthy, it can be mitigated with a coach that she knows and presumably trusts, and that she trusts knows her game, Brian.
Yeah, and I want to tie that point to Tulip's comment. And I think it's important to remember the sort of like context of players walking into. So for Steph Talbot on the Valkyries, I think a lot of her minutes came without Tapes at the beginning of the year. And it's with the Valkyrie trying to sort of figure out how to get their lineups together and how to sort of like run their offense. Like, you really saw a lot of it. Like, her 3-point shooting is at its lowest, I believe, by percentage. But how much of that is just her not having it anymore versus not having teammates that can really sort of draw that extra attention? Because if you're on a court with Jonquel Jones and you're a wing defender and you're guarding Stephen Talbot and JJ's bodying up someone in the post, I'm going over there because that person needs help. So you would let Steph Talbot have that shot. So that context in New York is helpful for her as compared to a context in Golden State where generating offense is a lot harder to come by. They're better now because Chechi and the gang are really doing well. Carla Late, etc., are really balling out recently, and they're right on the cusp of a playoff spot, which is amazing. So I think that context helps, and I think also to the other point, as you're mentioning, Erica, we talked about it with Ariel. It's a situation where if it ain't hitting, you can
let it loose.
Yeah. And because we don't know when Meesseman's coming, I think if it were, to Tulip's other point, if it's a situation where they were both like announced like right now today, then it's oh my god, I gotta figure out what the heck to do right now. We have a little bit of a runway, which I think is very helpful for evaluation purposes. So you can really sort of get a feel as to how she looks if she gets in the court. We'll see how she looks in practice.
Right. I wanted to come back to this before I forgot. I thought players couldn't get cut off the roster at this point in the season. So that's a good point that they would have to figure out. And so I don't know actually how they make this transaction, because at first I saw this comment, Brian, and I was thinking, oh, they must be talking about Steph Talbot, but Talbot was waived at the midseason deadline.
Yeah.
But there must be a way, because the roster freeze. Okay, hold on. I think this is what it is, right? It's something about guaranteed contracts.
There it is. Yep.
Yes. And anyone with a guaranteed contract at this date.
Yeah.
So now that's where we have to go to. And see, this is why I'm not a GM, not for real anyway. I'll stay on the couch, thank you. But now we have to go to protected versus unprotected and stuff like that, or guaranteed versus not. So we have an unprotected in Beck Gardner, Maureen Johannes, Jalen Sherrod, Leonie Phoebish. There's actually a lot of them. Izzy, Kennedy Burke, and Niara Sabali, as well as Sabrina Ionescu. But I'm just gonna go on a limb here, Brian, and say this one's a non-negotiable. I feel pretty confident. Almost as confident as I was about Emma Meesseman not coming to the WNBA.
Could you imagine? You press the wrong button and then you hit the release Sabrina, Jonathan Cole.
Like,
today's your birthday.
You're fired from the planet Earth. You're fired from the planet Earth if that happens. But maybe this is maybe it's more of a trade situation. Again, these are where the intricacies of the WNBA get me a little bit messed up. I'm not even gonna lie. Like 7-day contracts versus what you said, end of season contracts versus emergency hardship. Like there's a lot. I don't know how y'all be doing it. But yeah, maybe it's a trade. I do think the caveat is that protected versus unprotected. But we have to figure it out. I want to go back to something Amir said. And Amir, I know I owe you a message from our NYU overlap. Bear with me. But you talked about losing backcourt depth if they cut Sherrod. So you think Beck Gardner might be on the chopping block. I could see that. And I do think that there is something that Sherrod gives this team that nobody else, not Meesseman, not Talbot, and not Gardner gives. And that is that downhill acceleration. Exactly, that grit, that sandpaper. And it hurts my heart. That's why Brian's kindly tried to let me down easy when he made his pick. And I think it's the right choice. You have, if it is Meesseman, Talbot, and Beck Gardner, there's just years of service put in effectively that even if none of them are on the top of their game as far as physically or what we're used to, or even at the pace and cadence of a regular season W game, almost always, not completely, but almost always, you can get that vet to push you across the line in very specific, very meaningful, and sometimes very short bursts. But I think you take that, and you have to hedge your bets here, right? I think you take that versus in this situation, someone in the backcourt who, again, we've already seen have diminishing number of minutes.
Yeah.
And Beck Gardner, to me, it's close. And it could be one way or the other. But I think you might still lean into Gardner because she can get you that perimeter shooting. And if you need someone to jam it down your opponent's throat, then that's when you say, Tosh, get your liquid IV or whatever you need, because you are going downhill all day.
Yeah.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah. As I'm thinking about it, I feel like the best way I could sort of like explain the sort of divide I have in my mind between Beck and Jalen is, if Beck is in the game in a semifinal matchup, it's okay. Like, I know Beck can give us some good minutes. She can sort of like play a couple minutes here and there. If Jalen is on the court, that means something's gone terribly wrong. Either injury or they're just getting their butts whooped and it's garbage time. So I think for that reason, I feel like the calculus might lean towards having Beck here, because it's not going to be a situation where if Beck hits the court, you're down like 22 and you're just sort of like running out the string and this is lost. I think for Jalen, it's a situation where this is where we'll get to the CBA soon enough, but that's where the roster squeeze comes into play, because that development is there. Like, it's fun. It's like, you see, like, teammates love her. Like, she's great energy off the bench. Like, she and KB are a lot per minute. Like, all that stuff is meaningful. But is it enough? Well, I'll say I'll add Talbot into that mix too. Instead of just having it be like a Beck versus Jalen sort of dynamic, I want to add Talbot just in case as well too, because you don't know, like you don't know, we don't know if she's fully healthy. So,
Right.
What is the thing that you weigh the most when it comes to rounding out a championship and making sure you're back to back, and you're leaving, and you're doing it without any doubt? No, oh, it's close. No. Like, you want to like win, and you want to win by a bunch. So that
Right.
way, you
And
really,
you have to score. You have to score. And Sherrod is not going to get you into a better position from the offensive side. Comparative to Talbot, absolutely not. Comparative to Meesseman, no. Comparative to Gardner, probably also no. Not with the way the New York Liberty plays anyway, you know. Is she enough on the defensive end? But then you have to think about size, right? And she gives you speed, so if you play a quicker team, you might get burned, but then that's when you're going to have Stewie, JJ, potentially now Talbot, Leo, Niara. Beck Gardner becomes someone that can give you a little bit of speed. She has to be a little mindful of the reach-ins. She gets called for those a lot. But if you lose speed on defense, you gain trees who will clean up anything that's coming towards the gap.
yeah,
I just, it's not, I'm not saying it with joy in my heart. But for me, you have to get scoring, and you have to get stops. And just by way of people with a longer wingspan being able to at least slow things down or adjust shots, to me, that plus what they can give offensively, again, it's not like it's a blowout hypothetical situation for me, but that's probably what the New York Liberty are leaning into. Also, here's the real. Jalen Sherrod can only give rest to a couple of players on your team. Talbot can give you rest for more. Because of her size and because of what else you have on the roster. And I've talked about it before. We're seeing a lot from Stewie now, and maybe she doesn't have to do all of that if you have some of these other players. Listen, I don't agree that Talbot is washed. I haven't been locked into her game this season. Again, saw her. If you want to judge her by last season in the W, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that because I also saw her play at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I ain't see a wash player at the Olympics. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah. And, I think to your Stewie point, we've been talking about it for years here. It's almost like a starting pitcher that you're trying to sort of like nurse through the regular season. Like, you don't want them throwing 125 pitches in July. Like, you want to save all those bullets for October. Like, you want to make sure that when it's that time, it's game 4, you're up 2-1 in a series, and you're trying to close it out. The bullpen door is not opening for you, Brianna. Like, you're playing a complete game, make it work, and she can. So now it's can you nurse her through the rest of the season and really sort of like let her rest up, not have too much on her shoulders. Having JJ back is going to be a big help with that. And even before, like, this past couple games or so, she's been in like the early 30 as minutes go. Like, she's not playing 37, 38 minutes right now, which is a huge testament to the coaching staff really being determined to not bungle it like they did in 23, where they had to play her so much just to sort of win games. Right. So now you've got the blend of high-level basketball from Brianna Stewart, doing it in less minutes to sort of like preserve herself and make sure that she's going to be at full capacity come playoff time. Because they're going to need that from her and more if they want to go back to back. And you have this time, I would say if the playoff route goes how we think it might, it's whoever in round one, potentially Phoenix in round two, and then waiting for you in the championship round is Minnesota. Like two elite level teams. Minnesota better than last year. Just a quick Lynx thought, like something I was thinking about when we were talking about the Lynx a minute ago. Those minutes where the Liberty sort of like cooked Maisha Hines Allen in the finals last year, those minutes are replaced with Jess Shepard. And Jessica Ball, like
she's finally healthy.
Yeah.
Finally healthy. And that's what I'm saying. So I want to come to this comment from Ironheart. Talbot is not good. I disagree. Meesseman is really good. Understatement. JJ is better. That's an argument. I don't know. I don't know, Brian. I'm like all the players at All-Star for start bench cut. Nope, not doing it. Meesseman will be great sixth woman. Thank you. Leonie Febish is much better as a starter because of her great defense. Listen, and then Tulip saying Emma didn't join to be on the bench. Now here's the thing. Because at first I agreed with Tulip, and then I remembered 2019. Effectively, you know how I said Emma Meesseman was the prototype for JJ, but she also is kind of the prototype for what we saw Sandy do with Leo, because Emma Meesseman was the sixth person off the bench and worked her way into significant minutes as the team Washington got deeper into the playoffs. So here's the thing. I didn't agree. If you listen to Tempestaji talk, y'all know I don't agree a lot with what Noe does. I think she's too conservative, and I think she integrated Gabby Williams too late last season, where it became clear to me that if she's on that team, she needs to. If she's not going to start right away, she's going to start eventually.
Yep.
That's kind of how I probably feel about Emma Meesseman. And Emma versus Leo, does it become a matchup thing?
That's such a boy. This is where the fun really kicks in for me. So, all right, I was thinking about it. This like before this news came in. I've been thinking about Leo for a story I'm working on. It's how is Leo, who's actually like hunting her shot a little bit more after everyone like from here to California and beyond is like, Leo, shoot the ball. Now she's doing it. It's how does that aggressive Leo fit with a returning JJ and JJ being able to get you more shots? Like, I'm really excited to sort of see that dynamic play out starting tomorrow night. And now you have a player like a Meesseman coming in. It's if someone goes to the bench, theoretically it's going to be Leo. So you run Cloud, Sab, you put Stewie at the 3 and just have her sort of like roam all over, Meese at the 4, and then JJ at the 5. So you have that option.
What?
Yeah.
Your 3, 4, 5 is Stewie, Meesseman, and Jonquil Jones?
Yeah. Like you can really make it work that way. I am a big proponent of Leo as a starter because I think Leo is excellent, and she's never going to get all-star reps because the shots aren't going to be there for her like that. Yeah. But if like for folks who are like locked in, like she matters so much to the squad. So what she does, and Leo in particular really gives you, especially at the beginning of a game, she can take those matchups. She can guard a Caitlin Clark, she can guard a Kelsey Mitchell, Chelsea Gray, whatever. Like throw her wherever on whatever matchup you want, and she can really make that work. So I think that part matters a lot for this Liberty team. And then you have Stewie providing help defense off whatever player that's out there. And Stewie might be the best help defender in basketball, I would say. So you have a situation where do you want to sort of shake the starting 5 when they were undefeated before JJ got hurt and Leo left? Do you shake that for Meese, who's getting acclimated to everything now, or you just sort of keep that starting 5, and then as you go offense, defense, jumbo lineup, one big, whatever, you can deploy Meesseman in that way. You can play her with players who aren't like, I guess because she's such a great passer too. That's Yeah, like you get her in the high post, she's gonna find cutters going to the baskets.
She's
That's gonna
so
help
good.
Gardner spot up shooting. Like that's gonna get KB good looks. Like there are so many different avenues to press. I think, yeah, I think for Mies, because the team she was considering were New York, Minnesota, and Phoenix. So
Allegedly,
yeah,
reportedly. And
allegedly.
then, everyone is always considering Indiana these days.
That's true too. So it's like, okay, for Emma coming back in, I think it's I think it's a realization where I think I haven't we haven't talked about it, but I would assume she's cool with coming off the bench because if she went to Minnesota, she's not. I don't think she'd start over Lan, and then I guess you would theoretically move Bridget Carlson to the bench and then slide Fee down to three, something like that. Indiana,
Beaston's been kind of quiet this season.
yeah, that's true. Like you could that could have been that. And then
Yeah.
if you were to take like Indiana context, it's well, actually Indiana would have been easy because Natasha Howard have a
Wow.
Yep. You can sit. You can sit. It's cool.
Wow.
It's cool, big dog.
Wow. The disrespect for
This
Natasha Howard.
Hey man, we got good seats. Indiana ownership is spending good money. Like
Wow. You didn't
that.
even stutter. Wow. I mean, I think it's both, right? The Meesseman hopping off the plane, the Cheeto administration gives her a visa and she's going to start. Absolutely not. That's not going to happen, right? I mean, it's not for so many reasons. So Leo stays in the starting lineup. If and when Meesseman gets a little more acclimated, I honestly think it's just kind of like Sandy can be like, all right, what are we drawing up today, class? Like I think you can pick and choose, which is a luxury. You do need to get Meesseman reps. So off the bench, but like getting touches in the first, I don't know, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at some point, Rob says, at some point we're gonna see the Liberty death lineup of Sab or Tosh, Leo, Stewie, Emma, and JJ. That's insane. That's insane. I'm like, I'm trying not to cry. Or just like hysterically laugh. I don't know.
To Rob's point, I think I know exactly when we would see that lineup if it came down to it.
Pray tell, when could that possibly be, Brian?
Game 7 at the Target Center with the finals on the line.
Ooh.
Cheryl cooking. I got something for you today, big dog.
She's like, yep, last 5 minutes, give you a lineup you ain't never seen. That's how she won the first one. Hey, let's go. Wow, this is wild. I will say, it's something that I said in Slack. We haven't gotten to it a lot here. I do wonder, though, Brian, because I'm going to be honest. Talbot and a Meesseman report on the same day doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also getting the news that JJ is coming back, none of that makes sense to me unless there's something else happening. I'm gonna be honest. Like we can hypothesize, fantasize all we want, but I just feel like something else got to drop. Like, because this just doesn't make sense. I think I did say this in the chat, right? Or no, I think I said it on Blue Sky. I'm like, how did the rest of the league let this happen? How did y'all let this happen? I don't know if it's an injury or something. Niara is now knowing that JJ seems to be cleared. Niara's also not on the injury report, so I guess that's a good thing. But are there concerns there? I mean, Sandy has expressed that in the past.
Yeah. I will say Isabel Harrison's rise is slightly concerning if you have a lot of stock in Niara, because I think coming into the year, I feel like my thought was, okay, Niara's healthy, like she's gonna rock and roll and really get those minutes, and then Izzy's just gonna be your break in case of emergency. Yeah. And it turns out JJ being injured has threw it off a little bit, and then Niara dealing with the knee injury. She got the PRP injection in camp, she told us. So now it's okay, Niara's not at full strength as we thought. And she's not looking like she did in Game 3 and Game 5 of the finals last year. But it's, oh wow, look at Isabel, she's kicking butt out there. So they were able to get away with that to it, not playing as well as we thought, because Harrison has exceeded expectations after a rough start. And I think for Izzy, her chemistry with Marina Johannes is really excellent, and she's a really good screener.
That's true. They have looked good together.
Yeah, they look good together, and Izzy sets really strong, sturdy screens. And I think especially when it comes to getting enough separation for your shooters to get open, like a Sab, to get those open threes of pick and rolls, MJ sort of like creating enough space to make things happen. She can do it off the dribble herself, but still having a good screener that is meaningful. Izzy rolling hard to the basket every time. Like, having that matters a lot. So I think Harrison's rise has been an unexpected development and a pleasant surprise for New York. So I think that if Meesseman comes in and everything holds to form, that's where you can sort of dial Niara back a little bit, let her body sort of like regenerate and heal up, because she's shown that when it's that time, like, she'll get there. Like, she'll make those big plays. Like, she will pick off Nafisa Collier at half court, get those and get a big layup in the finals, or fly in from the 3-point range, catch Courtney Williams, roll into the basket, contest the shot, get the rebound, do all of those things. Like, we've seen Niara do it. And Niara is, the health may not be where you want it to be right now, but if it's our lives are on the line kind of game, and Niara's
100%. She's gonna get it done. That's what Niara does. That's why I'm like, I'm not ready to let go. I'll never let go, Niara. I'll never let go until it's time, to hop on that life-saving boat. But anyway, I mean, like, this is kind of the situation that it's feeling like not everyone's completely healthy, and like, again, you have multiple players on this team that I think there's an identity where they know what they do well, and they're willing to do it in short, concentrated spurts because they don't need a ramp on. They know what to do because they're veterans at the international stage and at the WNBA level. And that's where the disadvantage to Jalen Sherrod comes in, despite her skill set being, quite frankly, the most unique comparative to the rest of the Liberty among any of the players that we're talking about. But her versatility, comparative to the rest of the New York Liberty, is just not there yet. Another thing, I'm looking at this, and I want to get to a question that we had about core. I don't remember if it was Tulip or someone else asked that. I want to get to that. But Brian, I keep, like, as you were talking, I put my head down for the umpteenth time on this podcast because I saw Benijah Laney Hamilton, someone that we know will not be on this roster this season, right? And what, I mean, we have expansion drafts coming up, so we will lose some players. But again, all of these players now, I don't know if this is even a thing, but you have all these touch points, right? All of these players that, if the reporting is true, including Meesseman, have touch points to the New York Liberty. What we know about the expansion draft for Golden State is that the Liberty have to pick, 6 players to protect from the entire roster. Anyone that was affiliated, right? Including suspended contracts, players that are going to be free agents, but at the end of the season, before next season, they are considered attached and hitched, right, to the New York Liberty wagon. This also potentially gives them more options when it comes to knowing that they're going to lose players in the expansion draft. I've been talking about that for a while because I have a lot of anxiety around that. And so maybe Jalen, doesn't finish out the season here, but it's someone that you can bring back. Benijah Laney Hamilton is someone that you can bring back. Izzy now having these touch. I thought your analysis on Izzy was fantastic. And, in the same way that I say in Seattle, and we have a podcast coming up on Wednesday that I'll talk about before we close out today, but you need Ezi Magbagor and Dominique Malunga to be in healthy competition with one another. And maybe that's a similar situation with Isabel Harrison and Niara Sabali to some extent. And healthy competition also means you have one player that has obviously more time in the league. You have someone else who's up and coming, and you need those two to figure out how to work together. NECA was talking to me in Indianapolis about playing with Candace Parker, and that was her vet, but also someone who she shared, they played the same position. Now she's with a vet in Skylar Diggins that they don't play the same position. And even all these years of service in NECA, I'm teasing what we'll talk about on Tempestagi Talk a little bit, but NECA, like learning from Sky and how she broke that down, like she's phenomenal. It's just beautiful. Their relationship on and off the court is fantastic, and I hope that Seattle can get it together. But yeah, right. This is a good. We haven't talked about this, and you're right. It came up in my mind earlier, and then as I am wont to do, I lost my train of thought. But you're correct, Al, page 89. Stewie, Emma, JJ, other players, the overseas overlap. So you talked earlier about Unrivaled and how that made a big difference between Sabrina and Tosh. This has been happening for years overseas. For years overseas.
Everyone has a nice cool Fenerbahce jersey.
Yes, Fenerbahce. Yes. Yeah, Albert, this is a tough one too. Niara Sabali were traded, wouldn't be surprised since she could be lost in the expansion draft anyway. On the positive side, she does have trade value. That is very true. That is very, very true. It would hurt my heart. And you don't want to see a player like Niara Sabali effectively walk out the door for nothing. I mean, that's how I feel. But then again, looking at this roster, I don't know if there's anyone that you want to see walk out for nothing. We came to this, Brian, though, because we wanted to talk about the cap room. So if 118, right, is what is being reported by Maddie, right, in the New York Post, then you have that. Now, Talbot, this is where the Talbot deal, I have questions. Because if Talbot has to get veteran max, which I think at this point in the season, given that she was on a roster, is 78, and I don't think the W does it like the NHL. I'm more familiar with the NHL kind of math, if you will, where it's not like because she was waived, she wasn't traded, she was waived, so she was cut. Mm-hmm. So the New York Liberty, they're not on the hook for the salary that she signed with Golden State.
Yeah.
Golden State's on the hook for that because she had a guaranteed contract, if I understand correctly. Yeah. But if 118 is the number, then Brian, they don't have enough for Talbot and Meesseman.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like the wave part, I'm wondering if New York just sort of pays like whatever sort of portion is left from Steph's contract from when she signed with the Valkyries coming into the season. So if theoretically she signed for like 90,000, are they on the hook for like, I don't know, like 20 of it theoretically? And then
see, that's not clear. It's very cut and dry when it comes to the NHL. Yeah. But I thought I read somewhere that the Liberty don't absorb any of what she had for the Valkyries because the Valkyries waived her. And that was, absolutely not. They're not paying that. Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. No. New York can't pay that. 125?
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to say they have maybe like a portion of that number while Golden State covers, I think.
Maybe. And again, these are things that, quite honestly, in women's sports, we just don't cover very well. The only reason I know how to do that kind of math is because I cover the NHL. I'm sure it might be the same for people who cover the NBA, but like the only reason I even know about that kind of stuff is, and you can actually, it goes by years of service and like how long they've been with the team and like all of that. There's like a actual formula. I don't know I'm not saying one doesn't exist. I'm just going to be honest and say I don't know what it is. Or quite honestly, where to find it. I mean, presumably it would be in the CBA, but also you could look in the CBA and it says that there's no charters. But anyway, I swear one day I'll let it go. But that day is not today. Okay. Speaking of the CBA, let's switch gears there, Brian. Because
that's a perfect setup, by the way.
I didn't even plan that, but I went with it. I saw my moment and I went with it. Ooh, all right. So 40 plus deep. Yeah, win some. I lose sleep over it. I mean, I don't get a lot of sleep, but I lose sleep over it. I think about it all the time. All the time. All the time. I don't like it. Okay, we're going to go back to the CBA before I lose my train of thought again. 40 deep, 40 plus deep.
Yes.
Rolled up to a meeting with Kathy and company. And according to our very own, I almost said Sabrina Ionescu, she does play for the New York Liberty, but that's not who I was referring to. Brianna Stewart, I got to talk to her in our little circuit, and I think she said this in the scrum as well. But effectively, she said to me and had been saying that it wasn't a complete waste of time, the meeting, but it was pretty close to it. And she felt like it was a missed opportunity. And so I asked her a little bit more about that. I don't know that I've seen, and Stewie and I didn't talk about it, like how long the meeting was, but they were running up on orange carpet. So either everyone got dressed to go to the meeting, which according to the elevator photo didn't look like it happened, or y'all, we already know they stepped out on that orange carpet. So I'm thinking they had to have at least a good 45 minutes for some folks to change, get back, do what they got to do and change. So I don't know how long the meeting was. If I had to guess, maybe max 2 hours, but maybe closer to, I don't know, $120, $130, something like that. But, for me, what stood out from what I was hearing from almost every player that talked about it, that the positive was that they rolled 40 plus deep. NECA, Stewie were very thrilled that there were players that wanted to hear from the league, wanted to be invested. I was talking to someone else about this, and we were wondering, was that maybe a bad thing? How many people of the 40 plus were speaking or active versus listening? Someone else had said, I forget right now which player said that, a good 45 minutes of the meeting was introductions.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
My name is Kathy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Y'all are in a full-on negotiation and you got 40 plus players. I'm gonna be like, listen, first name, I'm active player. What kind of introductions are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
My name is WNBA lawyer.
Oh my gosh. But also, if all 40 players took 1 minute, that's 40 minutes right there. So there you go. I don't know. That seemed like, I don't know. So maybe that in hindsight wasn't necessarily the best thing. But another thing that we heard, I talked about Gabby Williams. I wrote this in my piece. I'll link the story shortly here. But Gabby Williams, we know, has talked a lot about prioritization. Gabby saying that her interpretation of the meeting was that the WNBA, like they've done to international leagues, this is me adding a little context here, but she effectively said that she felt that the WNBA was trying to push out Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited, which is definitely a choice. It's not surprising. Again, I cover the NHL and I know how they feel about competition, including something, it's a little international tournament, Brian, you might have heard of it. It's called the Olympics. That's the one. Yeah. The NHL doesn't like that they compete with the Olympics, which is interesting. But anyway, this is what Gabby Williams had to say. I want to read this from my article. again, just talking about prioritization and that, it could affect, um or what the proposals and the response to the proposals from the league were, might be a push out. um it's very clear that the league wants to push away all other leagues without still paying us more than those leagues pay us, is what Williams said. She went on to say, it would make sense if they were paying us more here, but it still isn't the case, even with the new proposals. And it's very clear now that they want to push Unrivaled out, push AU out. They want to do it as much as possible. So I think now more than ever, it's really important to push against these kinds of issues. So what I hear her saying is that they maybe want to add something into the collective bargaining agreement that makes WNBA players, if not exclusively, very strongly favor, and prioritize the WNBA. Now, on the one hand, what Gabby is saying is right. If you're not matching the salaries, then I don't know what you expect me to do, on my time that I'm not under W contract. On the other hand, a la the NHL, part of the reason the NHL hasn't liked the Olympics and hasn't wanted to contribute to the Olympics is because owners don't want to see their athletes get injured elsewhere. And this is where the gross yuckiness of business and the business of sports being also about the business of bodies, it's a little yucky. I don't like this part of talking about it, especially, I don't know, as a woman. But anyway, that's for another podcast. But I get from a business perspective where folks are coming from. I mean, we saw Benajelini Hamilton come in as just to support Unrivaled. They were short bodies and got hurt and is out for the season for the New York Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
That's an investment that now you don't have access to because they engaged in play elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. But you also know what? The Olympics don't pay. The Olympics don't pay. And although the NHL is on the smaller scale of ridiculous $1 million contracts, they're still in the $1 million figures. The WNBA are not. The players are not making $1 million as salary, base salary. You have a rookie contract, an entry level contract where you might actually play in the AHL, which is the feeder league, which also doesn't exist in the W. You could be at 775 as an 18-year-old in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe mainstream media, the NHL ain't even with the big dogs when it comes to pro sports. But they making more than women's basketball players.
Yep.
And so this is why the players are standing firm on the salaries have to increase, the revenue share has to increase. In my article, let me actually link it for y'all now. But so Claudia Goulden, she is a professor at Harvard, economist, Nobel Prize winning economist, did the math and is like, if we only account for numbers that we know, that we can compare, viewership, attendance, things of that nature, about a third or a quarter of what NBA players make is what WNBA players should make, if we just go solely based off of those numbers. The actual fraction, I mean, this makes, equal pay day look like easy money. 1/80th, 1/80th, not eighth, 80. Another great person to follow, who's been following this. Now, of course, I'm blanking on his name completely. Estimating that if we were to account again for the percentage, or David Berry, there we go. Because I was going to say wages of wins. I'm like, that is not that man's name. That is his handle. What David Berry often talks about is, again, we don't really know the numbers. We know the numbers that the NBA is willing to share, and why those numbers at least should be questioned is because the NBA is saying that something that they own 60% of is losing them money. And I'm like, is it losing you money, or are you losing you money by not handling the it, which in this case is the WNBA?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should handle your business. Maybe you should take that business 101 class that the interwebs is always talking to me about. But David Berry, he estimates that, so similar math that he's kind of doing, that if you calculated what pay us what you owe us means, given what we know about future revenues, average pay should be about $1.5 million, not $120,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about average, which means people will make less than that. But you know what that means also, Brian, is that there will be people that make more than that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me. When you have, and this is some number crunching that I did. So 50K, or that's not accurate. 50 million. That's right. 50 million was the expansion draft fee for the Valks. Yeah. I think we went up to,
I think 250.
Was it? No, I think we went up to 125 for Portland and Toronto.
Now it's 250. Yeah.
And now it's 250.
Gotcha.
So you go from 50 million to 250 in what, a 3-year span? What? Where that money go? You got that many bills to pay?
Yep.
And this is another thing that had been reported. So 60% roughly, depending on the estimations or who you're reading, but everyone agrees that it's no more than 60% of the WNBA is owned by the NBA. And that mostly accounts for teams that are, if you're an ownership group that's an NBA team, then guess what? You're lumped into the NBA ownership stake. And that is growing with these expansions, which people ain't really talking about that enough. Mm-hmm. But we might have to break that down on a special episode, because I think people think it's a good thing, but if you look at control, y'all might need to circle this. Mm-hmm. Got my own minds, but you ain't got your own money, baby. Yeah. Anyway, going on a tangent. We're gonna get to that on another episode. So 60%, they take that money. Money comes in, they take their cut. F you, pay me style. You want my protection? Give me my money. You got bills? F you, pay me. Oh, someone's in the hospital? F you, pay me. Oh, you trying to pay for charters? F you, pay me. Oh, Caitlin Clark gave you hyper growth, because that's a quote in my article that Kathy's been saying. Okay, cool, tight. Y'all making more? That means I'm making more too. F you, pay me. So all of this money coming in is already going out the window, because revenue share is inequitable, because ownership is stacked towards the NBA, because the NBA has 60% autonomy, and they make the broadcast deal that is funneled from the NBA deal. It is not a separate WNBA deal. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about losing money and somehow it's the player's fault, where they do that at? When Target is losing money hand over fist because they don't know how to support Black businesses in earnest, do we blame the workers at the cash register or the people in the office making the decisions? But how is it that we understand that in other businesses, but when it comes to women's sports, it's obviously the women's fault? When the players have gone on the record multiple times, and I talked to Stewie about this as well. Do you have more transparency in the numbers? They don't, which is why they have a person like Claudia, Nobel Prize winning economist, working with them, pro bono to try and figure out the numbers. Because here's what you're not going to do. Y'all might try to talk slick to someone who went to, I don't know, Stanford University for all 4 years and played a little basketball. Y'all might try to talk slick to NECA, but you can't run them numbers by Claudia and with your whole chest try to, and that's what we've heard from the players as well. Gabby was alluding to this and saying that, she's like, I'm trying to be careful with my words here, but she effectively was and got to the point where she's like, yeah, I think they thought we were dumb and that we wouldn't understand the proposals that they put in front of us, but we do understand them. And so having people like Claudia in the room is not to interpret, not exclusively to interpret, to make sure the players are interpreting the contract and the proposals. They have people that can already do that. It is the same way that sometimes you got to have a man around you to co-sign on your ish because people can't hear, see, think, or speak properly if they hear it coming from a woman. That's why. Now, I didn't talk to Brianna about this. I don't know why I just used her whole last name. I never do that. Anyway, I didn't talk to Stewie about that. This is my interpretation. And I feel like a bunch of us have been there. You feel like you know what you're talking about, but because someone will never see you as a whole realized human being that can do their own research, and just because you know them as X doesn't mean they can't do Y and Z. Sometimes you have to have someone come in and co-sign for you. And so Claudia wrote an excellent opinion piece in the New York Times, breaking all of this down, things that players have been saying for years. All of this that I'm saying is not because the WNBA didn't hand me a stack of papers and I read through them. I know this because I listened to what the players have been saying. Also, 20 million plus for charters. 20 million plus for charters. Allegedly, the league was on track to lose 50 million last year. They spent 20 million plus on charters, something that was not ratified through the collective bargaining agreement. And part of the reason that they did that at that time, according to Kathy Engelbert, is because of the hyper growth that the league experienced. Hyper growth that they've never shared fully or to the satisfaction of the WNBPA. So y'all are in the arrears, which AKA means debt. Y'all are in the arrears for 50 million. Yes, I did go to school for this now. I don't use it all the time, but I know how to talk fancy every once in a while. Because when you go get a poli-sci degree, you have to learn this stuff. I hated it, but now I kind of like that I know it. They were in arrears for 50 million. They spent 20 million plus on charters. So now if you account for that, there's 30 million, right, Brian? $30-ish million that they're losing. They're bleeding somewhere else. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me what was the broadcast deal overall? Was it like 2.2 per year?
2.2 billion.
2.2 per year. Okay, that's not 30, but it gets you closer. They did a 75 million, was it, cap raise?
Yes, the capital raise was in 2022 75 million, correct.
Okay, 75 is more than 30, right? Mm-hmm. I told y'all my numbers sometimes get a little wonky, but I try to keep it simple. So I get it, you want sustained growth, but you also made a decision to spend 20 million just like that, didn't run it through the CBA, didn't run it by the PA, just went ahead and did it. And I confirmed, because I asked Kathy, and the transcript, you can hear me asking her the question. And I kid you not, I read it just today. She literally told us that they did it because they could. But now, and then 250 million 2 times over, three times over. 3 times over. So again, y'all were 50 mil in the arrears in debt. But if we really, you already said 20 mil of that is okay. So it's really 30. You get 2.2 per year for broadcast. You raised 75. You get 250 mil times 3, and that's only for the 3 expansion teams that were announced this year. You got 50 for Golden State, who's playing this year. You got 150 2 times over. So if I'm not mistaken, Brian, that's 300 mil right there, right? Mm-hmm. So you got 300 mil from Portland and from Toronto who start playing. So where is the arrears? Where is the arrears? Because if I can do math even a little bit, that's a surplus. Just from what you said, you were losing. Just from what you said, you were losing. Mm-hmm. But you're making more than that, which means either you lied about how much you were losing and you were losing more, or you really wasn't losing that to begin with, which means that you're in a surplus. So where the money at? I just did some quick math. Damien talking about you should run the WNBA. Listen, but these are things that have had to be fished out. They're not clear. The numbers are changing. It's always a moving goalpost, and that's part of what the PA is talking about. So are we going to a lockout or not? We don't know yet. Nothing was decided, but these are the questions that need to be asked, and these are the questions that the PA is asking, and these are the questions that the PA feels the league is evading.
Mm-hmm. I will say that there, in every negotiation, we're gonna get here eventually, but soon enough, the request is going to come in, and my 3 favorite words in any sort of CBA negotiation: open the books, open them up. I want to see what you're working with. I want to see what accounting tricks you're pulling to say that the league is losing this amount of money. And you mentioned, especially with the NBA piece, because ultimately the WNBA is a subsidy of NBA Entertainment, and NBA Entertainment pulls in a lot of money. Yeah.
When we get emails from Ron and from Sam, do they come from WNBA.com? Nope. No W, just the N. No M for men's, just NBA.com. There are, I won't put this person on blast, but there is a person who we know that works with us in the summer that said that they do WNBA just as extra. They do not consider themselves WNBA staff because they're not really. And I'll just speak for this person, even though I see them all the time, every big event. I was like, okay, you really you don't consider you not one of us. And I mean, why would they? But the fact that you have people who we see and engage with on a regular basis, Brian, that are integral to us being able to do our jobs, they don't even see themselves. They're like, yeah, it's something I do in the summer. Like a teacher getting a job at a summer camp or something. Like, what? Yeah. And that's the other thing. So what does that mean also? The big time commish, big boss commish? She has a boss, right?
Yep.
And you know who that boss is? He was an extra in the Scream episode from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's a deep cut, and I promise, anyone who got that reference, I appreciate you so much. Because tell me that man does not look like he was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Tell me he does not. Tell me he does not look like an extra from that silent episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh man, I can't partake in that because I have to deal with those waters on occasion. So I'm gonna be like,
he's like, I'm gonna let her handle that.
Yeah, but I will say to that point, I think especially when it comes to W business with the parent league, they do like they did the TV deal. Like in the newsletter a while back, like I had the quote from Cheryl Miller where she's like, two was cool, but it should have been eight.
Mm-hmm.
And why wasn't it eight? You gotta talk to the parent league. They're the ones
Exactly.
who they're the ones who sign off on it. It's 2.2 billion over 11 years. Okay, that's great. Why wasn't it more? It's
Right.
we're here on Amazon. We're coming to NBC and Amazon now. That's cool. What other avenues do you have? How are you sort of promoting local coverage? How are you doing all of these things? That's as much as we want to yell at Kathy, and we should because Kathy does represent the bosses. It's okay. She answers to someone above her, and what are they doing? And because I think what happens a lot, and I think we have to be very like I'm reminding myself of this all the time when it comes to like labor stuff in sports is that they can pull in like $10 billion a year and then they'll be like, oh, we're losing money.
Yeah.
Like I remember like back in like 20 like 14, 15, when the men were doing their CBA negotiations, LeBron James he got there and was like, yo, they're gonna try to tell us that they're losing money again and we're not buying it. Like we see what you're doing. Like you're not losing any money here. And then they got their stuff together long enough for a CBA. So it's a situation.
Moni, the series, and it's called Hush. I thought it was Hush, but I also, when I think of Hush in that time period, I think of I Know What You Did Last Summer, which Sarah Michelle Gellar was also in because there's that song that plays. I think it's early in the anyway. Now I'm going down a I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I mean this is Kathy Engelbert's boss, just in case y'all didn't know.
Yeah, and I think I think when it comes to that, and if we do get the books open, like we're going to see their finances, which for various reasons, I'm very interested in learning more about. Like, what are you gentlemen and ladies over there spending on? What are you doing?
Mean,
like, yeah, and
different courts for the men's Kathy Cup.
Yeah, like their courts are always their courts are these like blood red colors on occasion, but you don't want to do anything for
They
final.
are frightful.
Yeah. It's a whole mishigosh of nonsense over there that
no.
and so the revenue piece, like you mentioned it, like I was reading about it over the weekend, and the W players get 9% of the basketball revenue income. So and the way it works, which is especially gnarly for players in this context, is the parent league gets the protection money off top. So they get the protection money, they get whatever, and then the 100 that's left, that 100% is left over, and then the W owners are getting 91% of that. So if you have the NBA owners, they're double dipping essentially, and the folks who aren't in league who don't have NBA ownership group teams, like Seattle, for example, Atlanta is not affiliated with the NBA team, so they're like, I don't work with them. Why are they like? Why they in my shit? And it's like, I don't tell you. So they're losing out on whatever they want to do because the parent league is cutting costs. They're not looking to spend here. They're taking the money that's coming in. They're moving numbers around to make it look like the W's a loss leader or whatever. They're all rich. And now that I think about it, this popped in my head. I think when it comes to owners playing poor in sports, due to the ownership groups that are coming in now, that really doesn't exist anymore because this isn't like 1984 when the owner of the team like runs a car dealership. It's like, come on down to Joe's dealership and get half off on a brand new vehicle. Like we're all dealing with like private equity guys, tech people, whatever. Like
and it's like, I don't know, let's just use an example that is completely hypothetical, except not really at all. Chicago or Dallas. Y'all have been, poverty pimping all this time. And then as soon as you try to catch up with the Joneses, all of a sudden you got the city and all of these places willing to greenlight your new practice facility because that's what is needed to even be considered even remotely serious in this league. Connecticut is going to have the same issue, although it seems like they're courting Boston or Boston is maybe courting them, or either way, something about Beantown, something's going down in Beantown. So, which is so interesting. This is hilarious. So Albert was talking about charter flights, Moni blowing the whistle here and talking about Indiana was one of the, on Cheapo University, which is ironic because, and we've seen a lot of people look at the head coaching change. There has been a lot of change in the Fever organization as soon as they started realizing what it meant to get Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's hey, let's run another basketball game in a barn. You try that now, boy, them folks gonna be at your house. I'll tell you that right now.
House. Like, I'm keeping this in our assets. I'm going to use this, but I've promised, okay, for those who don't know, I will explain this. This is a screenshot, a still image from a fantastic, truly one of the best pieces of television I've ever consumed. An episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, to Moni's point, not the movie. I love me some Sarah Michelle Gellar. And they all deserve better, but that's another conversation for another podcast. Hush. And the whole premise is that these demons, because, it's all about the underworld for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as you may have deduced, she slays vampires. These demons, but it wasn't just vampires. Every once in a while it was demons as well. And so these demons, the episode's called Hush because their evil power is that they take away the ability for people to communicate through sound, through speaking. And it's a phenomenal episode. I will place an article where I got this image from, but it really breaks down why it's so phenomenal and why it's kind of, effectively, this kind of breakdown or indictment on censorship, which is, again, very fascinating. Anyway, I like my demon talk a little deep, but I didn't know who Adam Silver was when I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the 90s, 2000s, right? I still don't even really know who that man is. But when I saw him for the first time, I was like, oh, that's what Adam Silver looks like. I mean, he always wears a dark suit. Has that man ever worn tan or blue? Has he even worn blue? Has he worn a blue suit? I've never seen him in anything but a dark suit.
I've seen him in some polos on occasion.
I've never seen that man in a polo with the arms out. Does he have skin? I don't know. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Couple times, yeah. Couple times I've seen him.
I don't cover the NBA very often. I always see this man in one of these Hush suits with the pocket square, all of it. Like, anyway, he was an extra in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I stand on that. I do want to come. I know that Damien has asked a few times, so we'll wrap up this episode, one with an announcement about Tempestagi talk for this week, but also talking about this. Aside from better negotiations, what are your expectations for the Liberty in the second half of the season? I mean, I've been saying this for a while, Brian. I knew it was going to be a slog in June. I did not know about the Jonquil Jones injury, and I would not wish that upon her, so don't put that on me. Obviously, I did not know she was going to get injured. But I did think the New York Liberty would struggle because they would be without Leonie Fibish, who we've already talked about, huge part, maybe even still an underrated element of this New York Liberty squad, if you can even imagine. And then with her coming in and out of the lineup because of Eurobasket, I knew that this team was going to struggle. My expectations, to answer your question, Damien, are that they won't have those struggles in the second half. I think that they will play better. I think that some of the inconsistency that we've seen will get better. Marine is getting better and more confident. Sabrina seems to have gotten her shot back. I do think Tosh having a fantastic outing, but just feeling the support and appreciation that she did at All-Star is going to help be a good Kickstarter for her in the second half. You've already talked, Brian, about Izzy and how she's been playing. I don't know why I almost said Izzy Magbagor. That's hilarious. I was like, that is not that child's name, but Izzy, anyway, we'll talk about Ezzy Magbagor. Imagine Ezzy Harrison, Ezzy Harrison, Izzy Magbagor. We'll talk about Izzy from Seattle a little bit later this week on Black Rosie Media. But for all of those reasons, I think they're trending up. Yes, some inconsistencies that were frustrating because there were things that they should be, in theory, able to control, like, I don't know, boxing out, rebounds, turnovers, things of that nature. But Stewie is leaning into her whole Swiss Army knife of it all. Jonquel Jones is coming back. Steph Talbot, I know some of y'all don't like Steph, but I'm a rock with it. And if Emma Meesseman comes in, y'all stop it. I do think that we'll see them continue to be in the top 3, but closer to creating separation between Phoenix. Phoenix is another team that I'm starting to get a little worried about, Brian. I'm not going to lie. They can cause some fits. They can cause some problems, but I think it's going to be New York, Phoenix, and Minnesota in any number of 1 through 3. But the Liberty do have some work to do to get back on track to push for first seed overall. That being said, I never thought that they would finish first overall because of what I have already mentioned, that they would have a tough time in June. But Brian, other than that, what are some expectations that you have for the Liberty in the second half?
I would say my big thing for them is holding on to the 2 seed, because I think right now they're about 3 games behind Minnesota for the 1, and there's still time, but I wouldn't count on making up 3 games with 22 to go. It feels like a tall task at this point. So I would say locking down the 2 seed is going to be the biggest thing. Something else I'm looking forward to watching with this team is Natasha Cloud's shooting. Like, over the past couple games, teams continue to go under on Tosh, and Tosh is making them pay for it every time. And I feel like that part is going to be critical, because when those playoff matchups come, you have to live with something, and the something for a lot of teams over the years has been Tosh shooting jump shots and preventing those drives to the basket. So if she's making those 3-pointers and she's shooting with confidence, that eliminates a big that eliminates a weakness in New York and allows them to be even more dynamic. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Something else I want to watch is just more of KB. Like, KB leads the league in 3-point shooting right now at like 50+% career high. So I want to see how she continues to carry that shooting over, and then when we're in a playoff setting, because she didn't play much last year. Was it full strength throughout the year? New team, Now, second year, playing really well, a solid part of the rotation, and someone that Sandy turns to all the time. So how is she going to look in a playoff setting as that 7th woman coming off the bench, getting those minutes and being counted on to make those open shots? Because they're going to be there for her, because they're going to be like, okay, I don't want JJ with the ball. KB, I know you red hot from 3, but prove it to me. I want you to prove it to me again. So that's going to be a big thing I watch for. And also, another thing I'm watching for is minutes distribution. The one thing with this team, we talk about it all the time. If they're full strength, they're running over you. They're running through you. They're running over you, and they're going to stomp you out. If someone goes down, the calculus changes. Like, even though you have 2 other all WNBA players in the team, you lost the finals MVP for about 2 months. And we saw just how radically different things were for the group. You don't want to have a situation where someone else goes down, another key part of the rotation, and then everything just sort of like goes astray. It's like cooking a meal, but you're missing one ingredient, and then everything is completely thrown off. So now it's can the main rotation get through the last of the season in one piece? And then when the regular season ends on September 11th in Chicago, are they healthy? Are they in good seating? Do they have a good bracket? That way they can really get to the playoffs strong and really sort of make things work. Because in 23, they were right on the edge of catching the 1 seed, but not enough. And then what happened before they got to Las Vegas? First round against a much better than they look 7 seed Washington Mystics, and then a 4-game bar fight with the Connecticut Sun that took 40 minutes from Jonquel Jones, Brianna Stewart. I think Benaja played 40, and then in the second half, nobody came off the bench, like not a soul. And it was that starting five had to get them there, had to fight to get through a game. Connecticut
that was a tough road. And then Sab got banged up in that series. We found out after the fact. Yeah. I mean, I already think she's like, between her impact in Oregon, Damien asking, do you think Sab could have a Hall of Fame potential? Between what she did at Oregon, being a part of the New York Liberty, winning their first ever championship, what she did in Indiana for NBA All-Star, and then that in between basically one record-breaking performance in WNBA All-Star, and then being able to win her second consecutive. I mean, it's looking pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Not that not a lot of folks have that resume, past or present. We'll see about the future, but I think she's looking pretty solid. I don't really think it's a question at this point, Brian.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what also helps is that the Basketball Hall of Fame is a big hall. So like if you were good over an extended period of time, barring you doing something like completely out of control, you're getting in and you deserve to get in. And I will say, just thinking about it a little bit, it feels like the Basketball Hall, this might just be a sort of like byproduct of better coverage in the WNBA in recent years. Like we're getting more of those announcements of WNBA players from the 2000s and 2010s going into the Hall of Fame. Like that part matters a lot. And I think we'll have to see what the next classes are, but we're going to be seeing a lot more players going into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. This one they had this year, I think it was in Nashville. I think it was in this year.
It's always in Nashville. That's where the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is. Yep. And yeah, this year you've got Sue Bird going in, Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles. I mean, that's just from the women's committee. Dwight Howard, Billy Donovan, Danny Crawford, Mello, and the 2008 USA basketball men's national team. So, Michelle Smith getting the Print Media Award.
Cool.
That's cool. I didn't know Ice Cube had an award. Jalen Rose is getting the Ice Cube Impact Award. So there you go. Yeah. The Women's Basketball Hall of Fame I highly recommend it. I say it all the time. Sadly, I haven't been able to go in a few years since moving to Tulsa, but I used to go every year, and it's phenomenal. I love it. And before we cut out of here, I want to let y'all know we will be recording Tempestagi Talk live on Wednesday, as we do all of our shows live. It will be live streaming here on YouTube. But what's different is that Joveta and I will be in the same room. We will be at Rough and Tumble in Seattle on Wednesday night. We'll probably do a little bit of a later start than usual. We're confirming all of the details, probably closer to 7:30 Pacific time. But if you are in Seattle, you want to hang out, come to Rough and Tumble. We'll have some stuff posted for you, but we are recording live. We have lots to talk about. Gabby Williams, Nneka Ogwumike, and Skylar Diggins at All-Star. They put on a show as well. I was telling you, it was a great weekend for the Black Rosie Media Podcast Network because we have plenty to talk about. So that's going to be fun and exciting. We're so grateful to Rough and Tumble for once again playing hosts. And for those who like my hockey content, you should make sure you listen to Locked On Kraken because I've got some great interviews with PWHL Seattle players. That's why I'm going to Seattle, in addition to the Tempestagi talk. So there's an event at Rough and Tumble for PWHL Seattle right before our live show. So it's a nice little crossover. Unfortunately, I will not be. I will be in in Florida around that time doing some hockey stuff every year for the past, this was my 4th year now. I work the Amerigo Latam Cup, which is an amateur tournament mostly for federations that come from countries that don't have are not historically ice hockey nations. So, not the Slavic or, the European nations. We're talking Jamaica, Egypt, Greece, Cuba, Puerto Rico has multiple teams, and it's all ages from about U10 all the way up to 4 different adult divisions, 1 women's division, 3 men's divisions. So that's where I will be. I'm very sad. Yeah, it is fun. It's so much fun. It's like hockey, which is something that I fell in love with at an older age, plus my Latin culture all mixed. It's fantastic. So I will be doing that again this year, but it is around the same time of the statue unveiling. But I will be back in Seattle in September to do the hockey, and I will see the statue then. But all right, for Brian Florentin, my name is Erica L. Ayala. This has been a 2-hour plus. This has been as long as the CBA meeting, probably. I don't know, maybe. But I like to think that we accomplished a lot in this episode. It was more than just introductions, including, yes, I did get on my soapbox and break down everything that I know and why it's important regarding the collective bargaining agreement. But if you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe. We appreciate those who are in the chat, keeping it going here. Share it with your friends. We're really trying to grow this. I feel that we have some amazing people in the biz, like Brian Florentin, who is also the creator of our Women's Basketball Roundup newsletter, which you can expect in your inbox if you're a subscriber by tomorrow afternoon. But we do this. It's a labor of love, but this is a fantastic league. It is such an intriguing team in the New York Liberty, and we're so honored and proud to break it all down for you. And we appreciate the support. So subscribe, like, comment. Even if you want to be like, Erica, you're wrong AF. I mean, I'm probably going to clap back, but you might be right, as Damien was regarding Emma Meesseman, or at least according to the reports. We will see if it becomes official, but as Paparazzi put in there, yes, Stephanie Talbot is on the transactions page, so we're just waiting for Brian with a wise email. But for Brian with an I, again, Erica L. Ayala, and it is time to wave. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.